For UFO enthusiasts, Monday marks the anniversary of a day that shook the world, or at least got a lot of people talking. Something crashed in a rural stretch of the New Mexico desert. The official line from the United States government is, it was nothing more than a weather balloon. But to legions of others, it was the start of a massive cover-up. A cover-up that involved visitors from another world. For more on the legacy of the Roswell incident, CCTV's Sean Callebs takes a closer look.
An event popularly known as the Roswell incident has recently been the subject of intense interest by both the media and a curious general public.
There's nothing recent about it, except the fact that exactly what happened in the New Mexico desert 65 years ago this month continues to fuel discussions about a UFO that purportedly crashed, and denial after denial from the U.S. government. But people like Stephen Bassett are demanding the government come clean.
Roswell was an extraterrestrial event. The goal of the advocacy movement is nothing less than disclosure, not with a small d, but with a capital D.
Bassett is the only Washington, D.C. registered lobbyist who focuses on UFO and extraterrestrial issues. Once a year, scientists in what could be called the fringe element gather in Roswell, the site of the crash, for what's billed as a UFO festival. It's part fun and partly focuses on U.S. denials.
The U.S. Air Force is routinely accused of concealing a deep, dark secret from the American people.
Bassett doesn't call it a cover-up. He terms it a truth embargo.
The first nation to end this truth embargo and acknowledge to its people that we're not alone in this universe, that there are other civilizations already engaging us, is going to acquire an incredible historical legacy.
But in the interim, the U.S. believers are often labeled crackpots or face ridicule. Bassett believes the U.S. is likely to be the first nation to tell the world we aren't alone. But if it's not the U.S., he believes China could step forward.
I believe that the end of the truth embargo could happen at any time now. It's literally spring-loaded. It just will take a certain set of events and it will be over.
Nothing like aliens or a UFO could have arrived at...
Bassett and others have been waiting decades for this epiphany. The U.S. still maintains it was just an elaborate weather balloon that crashed. But if it's a big secret, the government has done a great job of keeping a lid on the story of the century. Sean Callebs, CCTV, Washington.
And Sean joins us on the set right now. So let me ask you about this this truth embargo. You listen to this guy. Some people might think he's crazy, but there are a lot of people that actually believe this story.
Yeah, and I don't know where to draw that line. It's interesting because this is something Mr. Bassett has been doing for 16 years, but prior to 1996, I really couldn't find out a whole lot about his life. So I don't know. He calls himself a businessman and entrepreneur. You know, I'm not saying he was brought here by aliens in 1996. He says his family dates back to the Silver Spring area to 1933. But, you know, he's a believer.
Why China? He has China on the list. That's interesting.
Yeah, I asked him that, and it's interesting. He said, China is a lot more transparent, reaching out to a lot of other countries nowadays. Secondly, they have a very active space program. And thirdly, as you said, there's a whole list of people like him that believes it's just a matter of time before the truth comes out.
And you say it's big business. I mean, how many movies? I mean, and we've got T-shirts, all kinds of stuff out there. It really is a big business.
You know, interesting. Let's kind of put this in perspective, because here in the United States, when this happened in the 50s, all those, we call them, you know, B-quality movies came out, you know, the cheap flying saucers that were in the background. Really, the Roswell incident was kind of the trigger for a lot of those. And a lot of people simply want to believe. They look at the tremendous pictures we have from the Hubble telescope, and they look at the vast galaxies, and they just refuse to believe this little nugget, this one planet, is the only place that can sustain life.